Da, 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 da. What an amazing intro. Hello everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome once again to Lancing with myself, the weekly YouTube 5-minute show where I give you all the bountiful goods of my genius in game design, especially if you're low on spoons and low on cash. Genius in inverted commas. What I want to talk today again is about playtesting, which we keep coming back to. Last time we were talking about what playtesters say and what they really mean. One thing that's really important is that you need to playtest as much as possible, and playtesting is not something that's always easy to arrange. So you need to be systematic. You need to design a system so that you can get as much out of playtesting as you can in the few times you get to do it. And you need to be able to make sure that your playtesting unlocks as much power as it possibly can. And that means you often have to, well, let's put it this way. Don't think of playtesting as play. They're very different things. Towards the end of game design, when you are getting into blind playtesting, you want your players to think of your game as much like they were playing a game as possible. So they need to open the box and experience the rules and learn it themselves and go through those processes as if they were a new gamer experiencing things, because you need to know how those things work. But in the early stages, you're coming at things much more systematically, and you have to think like you're building a machine. You need to test every part of the game, often separately, so that you can test it quickly. You want to see how long the game takes to set up? Just test the setup. You want to see what happens if one side is overpowered, or just test that. You want to see what happens when this mechanic is changed? You need to just test that. And so you don't want to play the game all the way out every single time. You just need to set up a situation, test, move on to the next situation, okay? It's not play in the sense that it's not going to be a complete game. And to get that kind of thing, you need players who are comfortable with that, and who are also comfortable enough with your game that they can chop and change like that. They can go, okay, last time we played it where this was, but this time we're changing it like that, and they can just jump straight in. They don't need the preamble. They can go, okay, let's assume it's turn 10, and I know what that means. Let's assume that I'm playing the barbarians this time and I've chosen this thing, and that this time I'm playing a completely different opponent. Let's do what we did last time, but try it like this. It's a science experiment. It needs to be tested in every possible way, right? It's an engineering project. You need to run it through its paces in every possible way. Now, the only way that you're going to get players comfortable to doing this is doing it over and over again. And that's really the key to playtesting. The best games are the games that are most playtested, because they are the ones that have really found out how they work and brought out all the truth and meaning out of them, and found out all those little problems and really found out all the little bits of balance. And as I said, that's difficult. These days it's hard to have a group, but that is what you really need to do, is to just keep testing your games over and over again, so that your players get familiar, and so that you can keep seeing every little aspect. Now, it's okay if the players change, you have to reteach, as long as you can laser focus in and just look at different aspects and change small things without telling people. But it's also good to get your players literate. And so if you can't, you've got to find a way to get a regular group, and often the only way to get that, if your playtestings are scarce and far apart, and if they're only happening at conventions, then you're going to have to get your game through a long cycle. If you're only getting to playtest once a month and you need 1,000 playtests, that is 10 years of play. And that will give you, but if you show up every single month with that same game every single time, the players are going to get to know it. They're going to be better at finding the problems. They're going to be better at unlocking the problems. They're going to be better at having that laser-like focus of going, what if we change this? What if we change that? And giving you the best kind of feedback. So the real message of playtesting is be patient. The great scriptwriter, whose name eludes me, of Four Weddings and a Funeral, said, never count the rewrites, because you're going to rewrite so many times you'll get sick of it, but you have to keep rewriting. The key is to keep at it. Go back over and over and over again, and it may take you 10 years. It may even take you 15 years to get a game, especially if it's a complicated game, all the way through that. And that's exhausting. But that kind of endurance is what being a game designer is. And that's unfortunately the process. It will take you at least a couple of years for any sort of moderate game to get enough testing in so that your players are familiar, so that they can find out all those little issues. Simpler games, even the simplest games, are going to take a year or two to nut out all those little problems. You have to be patient. Your game may take 10 years or so to really get it working, and then you have to go off and find a way to sell it as well, which may take another 5 years. Game design is a slow process. That's the message today, is be patient. If you want something that takes a short time to do, I suggest you maybe paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, or build a giant wall across China. Game design takes time. That's all for today. We'll see you next time. Have patience, be good, keep working. Your game will get better in increments. I'll see you next time. Pat dogs, play games, have fun.